Scam Alert. Joining me now is Steve Bernas of the Better Business Bureau to talk about scams connected to the IRS. Good to have you back on the show.
My pleasure.
Now, it's not actually the IRS that's scamming people, but what is happening with maybe some bad characters? Because you say IRS scams come in #1. That's unbelievable.
It is unbelievable. #1, not only Chicago, but also across the nation as well. Consumers don't realize that it's not the IRS calling them. They look at their caller ID and it says IRS. You assume the caller ID is right and accurate. Unfortunately, the scam artist knows how to change that and alter that. So you can't always trust your caller ID as well.
So how does that work? Somebody calls and they say what to you?
Basically, they're calling from the IRS. This is an officer from the IRS. You owe back taxes, and if you don't pay the taxes within 30 minutes, an hour, you're going to go to jail, be deported, lose your license, whatever it may be. Anything to scare you to pay your taxes, and it's continuing to work because people keep falling from it. We had a woman last week.
Wow.
That happens to all the time, but the calls are coming in continuously.
I know it's heartbreaking to see that happen. One of the big changes this year, though, is that the IRS will be allowing debt collectors to work for the government.
Right.
So that's a new spin.
That is a new spin. Unfortunately, what's going to happen is we always promulgated, the IRS doesn't call you. They'll send you a letter. Well, now the IRS is authorized to use bill collectors, so the bill collectors will be calling you if you owe money to IRS, which further gives ammunition to the scammers and spammers who now say, well, the IRS does call. I'm calling from the IRS. So that's what we're strongly concerned about.
How do you know the difference?
Well, the key is you got to find out and make sure it's your debt. So whoever calls you on the phone, I don't care who they are, you got to say, send it to me in writing. If I owe the money, that's key. So many times the IRS scams are threatening you within 30 minutes, so you don't have time to think about it. Somebody says you're going to go to jail in 30 minutes or you pay us $10,000. Sometimes consumers go to the local retail store.
Okay, the IRS would never have that sense of urgency.
Right, we call it tip-off to the rip-off is that immediate urgency to do something. I mean, you're going to have some time. You need some time to look at the documents, make sure you owe the money, but unfortunately they scare you, the scare text, and it works.
And just call the IRS if you're not sure, right?
We'll call the IRS the number that you know.
The number that you know.
Right.
Okay.
Not the number they provide you as well.
The real number.
And don't trust the caller ID because that can be an impersonator. People don't realize that caller IDs can be for $20, I think the program is, to alter caller ID. So consumers see 202 Washington, D.C., IRS, they get scared about it.
And then does it matter if you do your taxes early or late?
We suggest you do your taxes as soon as possible because, as you know, returns are done by scammers as well, trying to steal when they have your Social Security number, their files. So go do it earlier than later because sometimes when you do file, you realize that somebody else has already filed on your Social Security number. It's very disheartening to hear.
Steve, thank you so much for that update.
My pleasure.